We're back. I was just stopping the recording, everybody. So we're back for our Nintendo breakdown here on Twitch. Obviously, separate video on YouTube. So Nintendo, we're going to talk about two things tonight. There's much more that we are going to discuss on Pal Block next week, but a Zelda prequel was announced this week, and then new rumors of a Switch Pro were also kind of floating around this week. We're going to start with the Zelda prequel talk. Of course, that retro code. Eddie V is joining me. Hello, Ed.
Hello.
And Josh Finney, the
Hello.
lore archivist of Tower Casuals.
Zelda is genuinely my first gaming love, so that's why I'm gracing everybody with my presence.
Presents? You got me presents?
No, I did not give you presents, except for my presents.
Oh. Do I have to go to Halloween Grandma in the tower?
You're gonna have to go to Spooky Grandma.
Yeah. So okay, the Zelda prequel. There's a Breath of the Wild prequel in the vein of Hyrule Warriors announced this week called Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. It takes place 100 years before the events of Breath of the Wild, and yeah, it's another Hyrule Warriors game, but also looks way better than the last one because it looks like Breath of the Wild. Ed, we're going to go your way first. Overall initial thoughts, impressions of this? I mean, I know you and I kind of had a phone conversation during my lunch break the other day about it. But
I think this is amazing. I think this is a smart move for Koei Tecmo and Nintendo to be like, oh, because the first one is not really canon in a sense, but this one is canon because it's connected to Breath of the Wild, and it's really cool that it looks like Tecmo Koei got the style and the look of this game down pat. And I think using Nintendo's assets from Breath of the Wild, I think this game is going to be huge. Like, people are pre-ordering the game. People are excited to get it, and it's a good lineup for Nintendo with Mario 3D World coming out this month and Pikmin 3 coming out in October, and then Hyrule Warrior coming out in November. So that's like hit after hit after hit for people who want that. So it was really smart, that they're filling in their holiday schedule with this. And the box art looks fantastic. People have already made desktops of it.
Yeah,
and everything.
First of all, the Breath of the Wild art style is just like one of the greatest things in the entire world. Regardless how you feel about the game, the art style is absolutely one of my favorites in the series. This game, I was like, man, I'm not really big into Dynasty Warriors. Obviously, like, it's just kind of like a weird thing that, don't get me wrong, people ought to be into it, but it's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I tried Fire Emblem Warriors. It was fine. Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U was an interesting experiment. Actually ran a lot better on the Switch, to be honest with you. Please don't play it on 3DS, though, by the way. 3DS version was, ooh, yeah, slideshow time. But anyways, continue your thought, Ed. Sorry, I didn't mean to... I cut you off all the time. I know people have emailed me and tweeted at me saying that I cut you off all the time, and I'm sorry.
And I do the same to you. So it's I'm ready for the soundtrack. I really want to see if they got more butt rock, like they did in the first game. Because the first game, Hyrule Warriors soundtrack is good just to listen to. And so I really want to see what story they're gonna tell, like how everything unfolds. And we know how the ending is, but I just want to see how everything unfolds. Yubasa, man, she is cold in this game. I love the fact that they took the same gameplay that if you like flipped or you move away, time slows down and you go attack. I was just like, oh, this Bayonetta field is so good right now. So I think Koei Tecmo is literally on the road. And I know this is not part of the discussion, but if that Ninja Gaiden trilogy coming to Switch, if that happens and it comes this year, I think it's going to be a good year for Nintendo for this holiday.
Yeah, I think Hyrule Warriors is a nice surprise. Josh, what do you think?
I think this is a pretty great medium and a great style to tell this prequel in. Like this was presented to us in Breath of the Wild, the story at least as a war. So why not have it on this epic scale? Like you simply can't do this in a regular Zelda game without it being really campy. So I actually kind of like that they're embracing that. Like I was not interested in the Hyrule Warriors game that came out at all a couple of years ago. I don't. Well, the one that came out on Wii U and then got ported. I don't really care about Dynasty Warriors. I'm older than 14, and that's the last time I think I was interested. But this is a canon story, and I'm always here for a Zelda canon story, especially a prequel to Breath of the Wild, which I'm conspiracy headphones. I think that this is absolutely a precursor to them announcing Breath of the Wild 2 for next year. Just to ride that momentum, ride that hype train. Like people, again, I'm one of them who are not interested in these types of games at all. I thought Fire Emblem Warriors was really crappy, and I thought it would be really fun. That seemed like a perfect franchise for it too. I think this is going to be kind of perfect. I'm actually going to buy this fall. That's not the Mario collection. I'm really excited that I have to budget $60 more in. So, thanks for that, guys.
Well, I will say, I think because of the Hyrule Warriors, a lot of people got into the Warriors, the Warriors franchise because
I'm sure they did. I'm not saying anything to the quality. I'm just saying like it didn't grow. These games have never grabbed me. This looks leagues better than the others.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people before Hyrule Warriors came out, they weren't into the series at all, and then people laughed at it first, and then they were just like, "Oh, Hyrule Warriors with Zelda, I'll pick it up and give it a try," and people end up liking it and getting into the series and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. Like a lot,
I am always a fan of franchises doing something different. It's why I have campaigned for a very long time to get a new Four Swords Adventures for the Switch. This looks like it'll kind of scratch the itch for me a little bit. Do we know if this has multiplayer at all? Like, I genuinely...
it's
a co-op.
Yeah,
this is 100% a day one purchase for me then.
Yeah,
it has co-op.
It's couch co-op, split screen, and also online and local double switch multiplayer.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this. This is I just cannot wait to play as the champions and see little baby Sidon. That's all I need in my life is baby Sidon running around. I'm ready.
They did say just like the previous version, it does if you play split screen co-op, it is only at 30 frames a second. But whatever. The last one was only 30 frames a second, and it was fine. So
30 frames, 30 frames is perfectly fine for some games as long as there's not frame rate dips and it doesn't look choppy with like screen sharing. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I'm probably gonna play this game docked just because I want to experience it on a big screen.
Yeah.
But I played almost all Breath of the Wild handheld, so I don't care if it's fun. I'm gonna play. If this is the kind of game, I'm gonna take my Switch to bed and be like, I just need to do one more mission. I just need to do one more quest. Yeah. Then I'm ready for it. Like this is great. This is something literally nobody predicted this coming. We all knew the Mario ports were coming. We said Pikmin 3 is coming for years. Nobody predicted this was coming.
Yeah.
I said
actually Ed said Hyrule Warriors 2 would be coming in 2020. He did say that.
God dang it, Ed, get out of here.
He's been saying it.
You're done.
He's been saying
Goodbye.
it for like a month. He's like, I bet you Hyrule Warriors 2 is coming, and that's going to be
99.9% of us did not think this was coming.
Also, look,
let alone as a direct prequel to Breath of the Wild.
They sold 800,000 copies on Wii U, so that's good. That was a good sign that they had to do a part 2 with it.
I think, Ed predicts some crazy things like ARMS 2, but he also predicted this. So
I still think ARMS 2 is happening. It may not happen this year, but
the more ridiculous things you predict that come true, I don't know if I should not believe you anymore. Except I'm going to choose to not believe you about ARMS 2 until it happens, and then I will freak out with you. So
okay.
But I guess my initial thoughts of this, the trailer was actually really. I liked the trailer. It like I'm like, this is the first time I think I'm invested in a story in a Warriors game.
It was really well cut for a Warriors trailer, I felt.
Yeah. I felt like this story had me more invested than Breath of the Wild story trailer, and that like I think it's because like now I've actually played with these characters and know who the champions are and like know the world and everything. But like I'm glad we get to play as the champions. I want to see them, what they can do, and like yeah, Link is there, but he's just like one of the champions, and like you can probably switch between the champions. I think they showed some Zelda gameplay there too, which I know people are excited for.
Yeah, you can absolutely play as Zelda, which I'm here for.
Yeah,
she has the Sheikah Slate.
Yeah,
let's go, baby, let's go. Playable Zelda in Breath of the Wild too.
To be fair, you could play as Zelda in Hyrule Warriors. Definitive edition.
Playing as her in a real Zelda game, though. In a canonical Zelda game.
Also, Ed, even if Breath of the Wild 3 doesn't happen, it still means that there's a Breath of the Wild trilogy out there. I just want to point that out. So I also
pretty much
love it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, man, I liked what they showed. Like you said, Ed, like the dodge move that they showed in the Goron champion with the rocks coming out of the ground and him just kind of like crushing them with it, and yeah, I think it looks really cool. I'm all for it. I actually am like waiting anxiously for the Amazon pre-orders to go up because they're not up yet for the physical edition. Because like as much as I love having my Switch be digital, like the Zelda stuff, I will always get physical, right? There's a few franchises I will just keep physical.
We buy a lot of physical just because Chelsea and I both have a Switch.
Yeah,
so that way I'm buying games twice, like Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I will. I was just about to say, and with the Breath of the Wild amiibo coming back out for this, for people who miss getting the championship stuff, this is a good opportunity for doing.
Oh baby, give me some more amiibo. Now we're getting to the part of the show I'm ready for. Give me more toys to buy.
Yeah, I still need.
I caught that Cat Mario last week.
I still need like 40% of those 30th anniversary Zelda ones. I can't find.
I got every single.
I'm sure you do. You know what? Rub it in. You know what? Just rub it in.
Every single one. You know how many Links I have in this house? Chelsea has actually told me there's a moratorium on buying any more Link amiibo ever.
Well,
ever.
That's fair. Shouldn't be.
It is fair. I didn't realize how out of control we were until I realized, oh shit, I literally have every single Link. Anyways, continue.
So I really liked the tone of the trailer. I really liked the end where you saw, the Ganon kind of pig head kind of float up into the moon. Like, I just thought the whole visual aesthetic of this trailer was awesome. And like, it kind of, in a way, the tone of this trailer kind of makes you hope that the tone of the second game goes this way, this dark, like it looks dark in like a beautiful way almost, like with the dark reds and the maroons and the purples, and I loved it. I thought it was cool. Will it be a great game? I don't know. Probably not. It'll probably be an okay Warriors game, but I'm here for the story. I mean, look, I'm playing Avengers right now, and that is an okay game, but the story is like really.
I mean, listen. Nintendo has done. There's been great Zelda games when they've been outsourced to other companies. We forget that Capcom made Minish Cap and Four Swords Adventures. Like, those were still really compelling games that didn't rely on Ganon. As much. Like, it really dwelled on Vaati, which I think was a great move for them to introduce a different antagonist. Like, we know that other companies can tell good Zelda games, so I'm excited to see what this is. I do think that Nintendo and the Zelda Story Group are going to play a much bigger role in this than, say, the role that was played in the first Hyrule Warriors or in Fire Emblem Warriors, since this is a direct prequel to the best received and best selling Zelda game ever made.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell by
you're using this kind of to kick off your 35th anniversary year, so
yeah, you kind of like when you watch the reveal. Onuma was front and center of this trailer reveal. I almost said direct, but it was not a direct.
Will we meet Kasa's teacher in this game? Is my question.
No, I don't think so.
You shut your whore mouth.
Whoa!
You asked, and I said no.
Ooh.
You're wrong. You are wrong. I need another singing bird with an accordion in my life. That's the amiibo we all deserve. Is Kas
and I need a little button on the front and just have him play songs. like a
I
little
need
music box.
I need an animated Sidon one that just does his stupid smirk. I need that. I need the fish douchebag.
I think most of those characters will play more of a bigger part in Part 2, in Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh baby, I hope so. I need some tag team action with my boy Sidon. That's all I need. Let's do it.
Any final thoughts on Age of Calamity? I know we're kind of do a double breakdown on PAL Block next week, but
Nope, give it to me. I'm ready.
I think it looks cool. Ed, any final thoughts? Words?
It's definitely up there for my game of, like, I literally said this is like the game for November for me. Beef. I understand Series X and Cyberpunk, but Hyrule Warrior Age of Calamity became like my number one must-have for November.
I just, man, I still can't believe you called this, Ed. You know, Ed, you deserve a lot of props for calling this game. So
hey, when we get to the next story, I give you your props too, because I'm just like, if this happens with what they revealed earlier, that's crazy.
Yeah. So what Ed's talking about is earlier this week we talked about Joy-Con revision patents were kind of revealed. We talked about that on PAL Block, and late yesterday, there is a lot of rumors floating around from different sources saying that Nintendo is asking third-party partners and internal development teams to have games 4K ready for next year. This combined with the Joy-Con patents, the standalone Joy-Cons that don't connect to the Switch, makes me very happy about a Switch Pro being the same form factor as the Switch Lite, but just bigger and more powerful. I really want a Switch Pro that looks like the Switch Lite, but just as big as the normal Switch. Maybe with no bezel on the screen, make the screen a little bit bigger. And I think that the dock is going to have some sort of processing power to at least pump out to 1440p and upscale to 4K. Those are my initial thoughts on this. Josh, we went Ed's way first the last time. We're going to go to you this time.
I mean, I pretty much agree with you. I think it's a no-brainer. When Nintendo says start prepping for 4K, you're left with a variety of opinions and options on how they're going to approach this. This is, after all, the company that was saying, "Oh, our games are fine at 480p" in 2006. Did not quite embrace the HD revolution until recently. I think a better screen is an absolute no-brainer. I would expect something on par with an Apple Retina screen, personally, for portability. And then when docked, it can put out at 2K or upscale to 4K. I think that's pretty much a given as well. It's about time in the cycle for a successful console to have a revision. Of course, we know we had the Switch Lite last year. I didn't really see that as a hardware revision. That, for me, was similar to what the Series S is going to be for Xbox. It was a cheaper entry point into the ecosystem. This is a no-brainer to me. Like, Nintendo wants to stay competitive, and you have to do a Switch Pro eventually if you want to keep getting some of those marquee third-party titles. Yeah. And not just get revisited 360 games. Like, cool, I can play Skyrim portable. I've bought and played Skyrim 4 times now, including on the Switch. I'm not buying it again, people. Like, I mean, if you do this, you can start getting Xbox One and PS4 games ported over. You can probably get some of the Assassin's Creed games this gen. You could get Fallout 4, maybe ESO. Like, you can get things like that going on there. And I think, again, no-brainer. Like, you start whittling off the original Switch at that point, and you make the Switch Pro your only option. Like, you can keep this going for a while. Nintendo's no stranger to this. They went DS, DS Lite, DSi, like 3DS, new 3DS.
Yeah, I mean,
3DS
I'm actually surprised it took them this long to reconfigure it, because it took them a year to do the DS Lite, I think.
Yeah, that one came pretty quickly, and that was a pretty needed revision too, like right off the bat. This does surprise me that it took a little bit longer. I frankly thought it was going to be last year. or early this year that we would see it.
Mhm.
I do think originally they were maybe considering releasing it this year, but with COVID-19, they decided just to push it to next year to give it its own time in the sun.
Yeah.
I think it's because of the parts being cheaper. I think they was waiting for the cost of parts to
Probably.
come down.
Mhm.
Definitely.
I mean, and with the One X and with the PS4 Pro being discontinued, those parts are probably a lot cheaper now too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in more supply. I got one final thought, then I'll throw it to you, Ed. I absolutely think this is real. There's no way that it's not. Bloomberg doesn't, especially this reporter with Bloomberg, does not cite false reports. He only shares something when he absolutely knows that it's happening.
Mhm.
So believe it, it's happening. We do know there's another thing coming on the 26th about Hyrule Warriors, so maybe we hear something then, or between now and then. I expect this to be revealed with Breath of the Wild 2 as its marquee launch title.
Yeah. I think you're totally right. Like I think
To me, there's no way you don't launch this without Breath of the Wild 2 and be like, you need to get it. Like, if they launch it with that, I'm buying this day one. If they don't launch it with this or Metroid Prime, then I'm kind of like, I'll probably wait 6 to 12 months to pick this up. My Switch is still perfectly fine.
Oh, okay. I'll
But
wait.
Ed,
I don't know.
Ed, hit me. I can see you are practically jumping through the computer screen
No.
at me.
I can feel Ed's energy. I feel it.
I can feel the tension right now over the cam.
If this happens, release wise, I don't think they're going to do it with Breath of the Wild 2. I think they would do it with Mario Odyssey 2. I think, and I think because Unreal Engine 5 is going to be hitting most of everybody else next year, I think Nintendo wants to be ready for that. So if Unreal Engine 5 is hitting Switch Pro, we'll be getting some of the Xbox One and PS4 games and maybe some new games and stuff. Definitely with indies and stuff, probably looking a little bit better and everything. I think they want to prepare for, because it'll be like 4 years by time if they ever decide to bring it out next year. It'll be already 4 years past March. So I think they will rather, get their lineup ready and everything. I think Breath of the Wild 2 is just still under development. If they're not ready to show anything, and Anuma came out of what Anuma steps out and said, we don't have no new news, but know that the development team is working hard. That game is still in development. They're still adding stuff and they're still thinking of things.
Like I told you on Power Block this weekend, I like the more and more they keep saying stuff like this, I think that Breath of the Wild 2 is a March 2022 game at this point.
Pretty much. I can see that happening.
At that point, then I start wondering why on earth did you show the trailer at E3 last year then? Because Nintendo is not a game company that likes to throw out actual trailers. Like, they may announce some things in development. Like, we got the Bayonetta tease at the Game Awards. We had the Metroid Prime reveal and then rescinded because we got to reboot the whole thing. For them to put out a trailer for this, and presumably it's an in-game cutscene, that far out, I think that gave a lot of us hope that, maybe we'll see that like fall 2020, and well, that ain't happening. So I still think that game's a lot closer than they've let on, because if you go 2 years without any news on this game, then that's just Nintendo, get your act together, man. You can't do this to us.
I think it's the research and development of gameplay mechanics, is seeing what works, what's broken, and because I think that's kind of what happened with the first Breath of the Wild. Not to get
especially
off of that.
Just to play off that, Ed. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off again, but just to play off that, like, if Zelda really is a playable character, and like I've said 1,000 times, I think it's gonna be almost like a party system, and Zelda's gonna be like your second party, and you're gonna be able to switch between them almost on the fly, and you're gonna use Zelda to help you solve puzzles and do different combat like things, and like maybe they're developing a new combat system for her specifically. She's not gonna fight like Link.
Oh, they might be. I'm absolutely not disagreeing with that. And
don't forget that they had a new younger team making Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
so
I'm not trying to deviate this into a Breath of the Wild conversation. I'm just saying I don't know why you would tease that.
I'm just saying with Switch Pro, with them still development, them still getting Breath of the Wild 2 ready and stuff, it wouldn't be smart for them to do it. Mario Odyssey seems more likely because they already what they built with Odyssey, they could improve a little bit with Odyssey too, and add some things, like add some powers, add some, of course, level design and stuff like that, or even add new hats and stuff. And they could be able to roll that out with Switch Pro.
Well, to me, I feel like Mario, like I know Mario would probably sell more, but I think Breath of the Wild 2 is the game that would show the power of the new console, as well as.
That's the only reason why I say I think Breath of the Wild 2 is a launch game. My other thing is, if this comes out in March 2020, you're releasing the remaster of 3D World at the end of February. Like, why would you release Mario Odyssey 2 like 2 weeks later? That's my only question.
That's
because at that point, I'm 100. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say we would skip 3D World and get Odyssey 2 instead.
Well, that's why I said that if they decide to release it, it doesn't have to be in March. It's not smart for Nintendo to release something like that, where it's not smart for them to release it because like the new quarter starts in March. So I think they would rather be like, let's get this out for the holiday because everybody else got their stuff out.
I don't think they're going to have a single problem selling that console. The Switch is the best-selling console right now, month over month and year over year. Yeah. And they released the original in March with just Breath of the Wild as a launch title.
Yeah, let's talk about. Sorry, Ed. What do you?
No, I was just gonna say. I think they're gonna, if we have an E3 actually in 2021, I think they're gonna use that as promotion for Switch Pro and their games and stuff. I think Nintendo would want to do that first before, just doing anything.
Well, what I said on Pow Block this week, I don't mean to rehash, but the Switch, I think they're gonna wait till the holiday rush is over. They're gonna wait till maybe the January stuff comes out, maybe till after Mario 3D World. I think in March they're gonna drop a direct that kind of details, hey, we're gonna release a Switch Pro this year, and then they'll have details on it for probably the holiday season for that thing. I would like to see them release it in a spring quarter because I think the Switch did so well initially that way with Breath of the Wild, but I think just the way that things are looking right now, I feel like maybe that's the smarter idea, is to release it during a holiday season.
I think Nintendo is the one company that can do whatever they want whenever they want, and they're always going to do what you didn't predict.
Yeah.
They can pretty much do whatever they want to, and they know that the diehards like us are going to line up and buy it anyways. We're going to sit here and whine and complain about, it's coming out in March. We just spent $500 on 2 boxes, and we're still going to be there day one for this.
I think it's because of their honest marketing, to be honest. I think their marketing is so honest, and they put it out there, and they be like, hey, we said what we had to say. You take it as what it is. We're not going to.
And it'll only be available for 6 months before we take it away.
And guess how many people pre-ordered?
I too play Mario Kart with my friends on my roof.
No. Yeah, I totally take this to the park and interact with random people with my Switch. Yeah, that's a totally a thing that happens.
But you actually see people have done that.
So being
facetious.
Just to kind of wrap up this conversation, the specs in this thing obviously aren't going to be as powerful as a Series X or a PS5. Do you think they could push like an Xbox One style power from this or something?
I would say base PS4 is probably what you're looking at, which is still impressive. Don't get me wrong, that's still good.
Yeah.
For a console that's going to be portable, that's not bad. I would absolutely take that.
And obviously the resolution.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the resolution in handheld mode is obviously going to be way lower, right? Probably still 720, 900p at some point.
I mean, most games look, because the 720p on the handheld screen really doesn't bother a lot of people, I don't think, because they understand, it's on a smaller screen. It still is easily the best looking handheld experience we've ever had, and that includes phones. Up until xCloud came out, this is easily the best looking handheld experience we've ever seen, and it's stable on top of that. Like, it doesn't depend on your connection or anything like that. Nintendo's development teams are wizards. You're always going to work better on your first party hardware, and that's why when you buy a Nintendo system, you're buying it for the Nintendo games. You're not buying it for third parties. If you say you're buying a Nintendo Switch to play third party titles, holy crap, you're hilarious.
Can I tell you there are people who do that because it is more. Can I tell you it's more for the collector's aspect than just getting the experience. You know, people laugh at, oh, I'm not gonna play third party stuff for Nintendo, but it's in their library or they get it on the sale because they.
I understand. I'm not arguing with that. I'm talking the vast majority of us are not playing third party games on there.
Well, yeah,
the Switch is your Nintendo box. It's like, you know, yes. for me, like,
it's my Nintendo and my indie box.
Yeah,
they're not playing the well-known third party. I should say.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you're not buying this to play a game that you played 10 years ago. Like, I don't know anybody who's buying this and going, Skyrim, I need to buy Skyrim again, unless you're me and you're pathetic. But like, well, nobody is buying 2K to play on this. That's $60. Nobody is doing.
But did you get surprised when a lot of people report that they sold most of their stuff on Switch, like it's close to 1 million, and most of their sales on Switch base for third party?
Okay, I'm not going to sit here.
Let's not have this conversation. This is not what this show was about. So we're gonna move on. But we are on the third party conversation. Like, this is gonna be the last thing we talk about before we wrap up. Do you think they're doing this because of third-party support starting to dwindle a little bit? Like Doom being delayed, or, you know, some of these other things that have been delayed that were supposed to come to the system already? Because, like, or do you think they're just trying to get ahead of, hey, our console is already underpowered and these new boxes are vastly superior to this thing, you know, power-wise, do we need to keep up?
I think they're right. They know that they could still make money with their upgrades. So I mean, the way they handle their handheld systems and stuff, I think they were just like, it's just time for us to upgrade, and because the parts are cheaper, we can now bring out more power to people who want to play Switch or still thinking about getting a Switch. I don't think it's so much the third-party adrenaline or anything like that. I think it's just like we just need to upgrade it up fresh because the third-party stuff is going to be there. You get it or you don't.
I think it's a bit of both, personally. I do think that they've had problems drumming up third-party support from certain publishers. Some of your bigger publishers really aren't putting their marquee titles out there, and I think at least showing that you're making an effort, even if you have to put an addendum on the box that says this is only playable on Switch Pro. Like, this is nothing new. They've done this before. I don't think that would be too out of the question, and I think at a certain point you're going to have to do that if you want to keep getting support. Like, otherwise, you have third-party publishers like Bethesda making these claims like, Doom Eternal is going to be there day one. Well, we're coming up on 6 months of that game being out, and no news about Doom Eternal. Like, I don't think Nintendo wants to keep running into that. I think they're trying to head off a potentially difficult conversation down the road by being, look, we're making efforts. We're going to try to keep up. Like, it can run it can run base PS4 games, maybe even push to PS4 Pro levels. Like, we can keep up, like, in docked mode, we can keep up and this and that, like, knowing that there'll probably be some drops. But again, I think this comes back to people are going to keep buying the Switch no matter what, if there's a Pro or if there's not, because they want that first party pedigree. Like, they have some of the most marquee experiences out there. You're going to keep playing, you're going to keep buying Breath of the Wild. Now you're going to buy Animal Crossing. You got into the ecosystem through that. Like, hey, check out Mario Kart. Everybody likes Mario Kart. Check out Mario Odyssey. Check out Super Mario Maker. You know, check out Astral, even smaller games like Astral Chain. Like, check all this stuff out. Look at everything we have. And I don't think that it's a huge problem. Like, you're going to keep getting those experiences. You're going to have people like me who are going to keep using it as an indie box. Like, cool. Just put whatever you want out on it. Like, the 4K upgrade is to head off a potentially weird conversation in year 4 or 5 of your console.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Because
kind
it's
of
like I said earlier, like March is the 4th anniversary of this being out. Like we all expected a refresh by now. I think like you desperately need one when your console is already underpowered compared to current gen, and it's absolutely going to get technologically left in the dust by these two new consoles. Because this is not just a small jump to next gen. This is actually a massive jump. This may be the biggest jump since like PS2 to PS3, frankly,
yeah.
in my opinion at least. So like what do you do at that point if you're Nintendo? Like you want to keep up, you want to keep getting that revenue, you want to give people a reason to be like, well, I could play this on those, or I mean, it has the same performance as my PS4, I could check it out on the Switch instead. I personally would love an excuse to do that with some of these games. I'd like to play some of them on my Switch as opposed to my Xbox all the time, but I have no reason to right now, other than the portability factor, which has not been a factor for me all of 2020.
Yeah. Price of this thing. Do you think they'll cut the price of the original model to like $250 and this one would stay at the $300 price range, or do you think it would be more expensive than that just because it's technically a 4K box that's portable?
$300.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that now thinking about it, they may do $349 if they don't drop the old version. If they do drop the old version, then I can see
if the Series S was $399, I could see the $349, but they don't want an inferior box at a higher price, even though like they technically had that this gen right already with the Series S being like $250 and the Switch being $300. Like I think $299 is a nice sweet spot for people.
Yeah, I think it'll be $299, but I also think like whatever upgrades they do to the dock is going to play into that a lot too. Mm-hmm. If they do this, I 100% think that they drop the old one almost immediately.
Yeah.
They would drop the price lower so they get rid of the old one.
Do you think they'll drop
inventory rise?
I think the OG probably drops to 200 at that point, if not like 179 to match the Switch Lite and be like, hey, you can get one that's docked or you can get one that's just portable. Like, I do think there's going to be that, but with the Switch Pro dock, conspiracy hat time again, I think that there will be a way to dock the Switch Lite into the new dock.
Yeah.
Because like I had a friend who bought one for his kid for his birthday 6 months ago. And he's like, yeah, my son is starting to ask why he can't put it on the TV, and I don't know how to explain that to him. So I do think that that's going to have to come sooner rather than later. Like, we're now at the point where people were buying this just for Animal Crossing, and now they're like, oh, shit, there's a lot of other games I really want to play on this. But I don't know if I want to play 150 hours of Breath of the Wild in a handheld mode. Like,
yeah.
I
did.
And I absolutely empathize with that as somebody who played a lot in handheld or played it with the kickstand and the Pro Controller. Like, it does get exhausting. Like, you want to play that on the TV, and Nintendo will never miss an opportunity to sell you a peripheral. Like, do not get me wrong. They will never, ever miss an opportunity to charge you for something a year or two down the line. Yeah. The Pro Controller is the best investment I've ever made, and it was also the most expensive controller I've bought all generation. So...
my last thought, I think the Switch Pro will stay at the $300 price range. I wonder if they'll cut the Switch to $250 this holiday, honestly.
I 100% expect to see a lot of price cuts this holiday, not to cut you off.
Just because like if the Series S is $300, you're going to want to like compete, obviously. And like, yeah, they have all these games already, right? But like, a new console, like a lot of people love just buying a new box just to have a new box, right? And like the Switch obviously is 4 years old. I think to compete, they're going to cut it $50, or they can't do that Mario Kart bundle again.
I think it's $250 this holiday with Animal Crossing.
I think it's $279.
Yeah,
like a special edition Switch for $279.
My original thought was like they cut this to $250 this holiday, and then next year when the Switch Pro comes out, just to get through inventory, they cut it to $229.99, and they cut the Switch Lite to $180 or $179. Was my thought, but
yeah, we have to see how everything plays out for the holiday.
Yeah, let's see how it plays out. But we're gonna wrap up the Boss Rush Breakdown show. I want to thank everybody who joined us on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, and share. Follow Ed at That Retro Code. Follow Josh at Josh_Finn with 2 N's.
Two ends.
And you can find me at I am Corey HD. Check out our family of shows, including the Boss Rush podcast, Nintendo Power Block, Arsenal X, Crossroads, the PlayStation podcast, and of course Tower Casuals, the Destiny show. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.